castes that had come into the area from elsewhere. And so they didn't really fit into the firm structure of the so-called right hand, but they had their own traditions, which were a little bit more Brahmanical, a little bit more concerned with being vegetarian, and a little more concerned with purity. And I came to understand that there was kind of a jockeying for position, if you like, between ideas of purity and ideas of power. And other people have written about this as talking about, you know, the Brahmins versus the Kshatriyas and kings versus priests, that kind of thing. It's the same idea, but it here was expressed in a village form in terms of the interaction of individual people. I also learned during this period when I was working on caste and society and ritual that the organization was like, you could say like an egg or like an onion, in that you started with the gramam and then you went to the taluk and the nadu and out to higher and higher levels. And so what I did when I reorganized my data was to look at right and left at each of these tiers in the structure of the onion. And that's what this book is actually about. It's a kind of technical study of the structure of society organized by the level of the unit, and within that unit, the differences between the right and the left communities. And some of the things were really surprising and interesting. Like I looked at kinship, and I found that the right-hand castes, mainly, on average, they marry people who are very close in terms of geographic distance, within about 5 miles, mostly. Why? Because their interest is in controlling land. And so they marry people who have links to land that might be useful in terms of land control. The people on the left, who are mainly professionals, they are networked through the urban centers and through the trade networks. And so their marriage distances were much greater. They marry 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away. And that was quite an interesting kind of tangible evidence of the difference between the social organization of those two types of caste communities. Later, the book on the right, I wanted to learn more about the region. I felt that I had started at the center of the region and looked out, but didn't really understand the boundaries, where Kongu Nadu ended and how things might be different on the periphery than in the center. And so one summer I got a grant to come and just do a tour of the boundaries. And we rented a car and a driver, and we had I think we were 3 or 4 people with collapsible canvas cots. And we tied the cots on top of the car, and every night we would stop in a new place, and we gradually, very gradually, went around the whole boundary of Kongu Nadu that way over a period of many weeks. And every night we usually would sleep in a temple compound, and then I would do interviews in the morning and ask, you know, what communities are living here and what work do they do and what food do they accept and give and so on. So the second book is a kind of sociological study of the region with special attention to the boundaries of the region. And it was quite a bit later, it wasn't until 1992 that I began to publish about the Ananmar story. And that came to me gradually because I needed to study the story. And after I had the transcript, I needed to study the transcripts, and then I needed to translate them into English, and I eventually had done that by 1992. So this book in 2 volumes is the actual text of the singer, and it's got Tamil on one side for those of you who want to read the rich Tamil songs and descriptions and structure. It's all there in Tamil, but it's also there in English if you want to access it. Translation is not, I'm not very proud of the translation, but I tried my best. Okay, anybody have any questions?